Welcome back to the channel. Hopefully you're finding these videos eventful, helpful, you're learning, you're applying, you're winning more money than ever. Well, I'm going to focus on something I think people miss the most or misunderstand it the most, and that's rapport. All right, rapport. Most people have absolutely no idea what rapport really is. They think rapport means what? Being friendly, making jokes, talking about sports, finding common interest. Well, that's amateur level communication. Real rapport is psychology. It's psychological. It's emotional, neurological. It's the ability to make another human being feel what? Understood, emotionally safe, connected, and certain. And once you understand this, well, sales changes forever for you. It'll never be the same. Because the truth is, the best closers in the world, they're not the best talkers, all right? They're the best emotional communicators. So today I'm going to teach you rapport at a level deeper than most people will ever understand. And not surface level sales tips that you get the most of the time. And you're watching this stuff, you're buying these sales courses. What I give you for free is better than anything you're ever going to pay for, all right? It's real psychology, real human behavior, real influence. So grab your pencil and paper and let's write this down, all right? The human brain during sales. What's going on inside of it? Well, I'll tell you. The moment someone gets on a sales call, their brain enters what? Defense mode. Okay, so what's happening is subconsciously they're asking themselves, can I trust this person? Is this person manipulating me? Will I regret this? Is this safe? Does this person understand me? Am I being pressured? Is this person authentic? So that's a lot of defense mode going on there, right? You have to fight through all of that. Well, most salespeople will fail immediately because you're going to trigger resistance. Why? Here's why. You're doing this, okay? Write all of these down. If you need to pause the video and do it, you need to do that. But write these down. Pitch too early, sound scripted, sound needy, sound overly excited. All right? You interrupt. You don't truly listen. A lot of people think what they want to say before the person's even done talking, right? So you're not truly listening. You're chasing approval, right? You just need to provide value. You don't need approval, right? And then you try to force certainty. Well, what happens there is that pressure activates defense. So understanding lowers defense, okay? So the more I can understand them, the more their defense is going to lower. That's the game. The first sale you make is not the product, guys. The first sale is emotional safety. I have to let them know that this is okay and it's worked before, all right? Section 2, write this down. So rapport is mirroring without copying. This is where most people misunderstand mirroring, all right? It's not copying someone, right? Salespeople here mirror the prospect and you become like these weird robots and you're just like, your tone drops, you're doing the exact same thing as them, right? And that's not rapport. What elite rapport is emotional synchronization, all right? So you're matching the pace, the emotional intensity, the conversational rhythm, the emotional state. And what that's happening is trust and familiarity. And humans trust familiarity. So if someone is analytical and calm and you come screaming with all this fake energy, what happens is their brain says, hey, this person feels unsafe. Right? But if you slow down, you become calm, you speak clearly, their nervous system relaxes, right? And that's advanced communication. Nervous system alignment. All right? Nervous system alignment. The best salespeople regulate emotional states. All right? Section 3. Tonality is more important than words. Tonality is more important than words. Guys, you can say I understand and sound fake. All right, or you can say, listen, let me give you an example. Hey, I understand completely, right? Or you can say, hey, listen, Janet, I completely understand where you're coming from, right? Everything is so different. So with genuine emotional depth, understand this, words are logical and tone is emotional, okay? So humans trust tone more than words. Now, what your tone communicates is confidence, certainty, empathy, fear, insecurity, authority, calmness, desperation. And most objections, guys, are not caused by words. They're caused by emotional mistrust in tonality. So a shaky voice creates doubt. You've heard people, you ask them a question and they don't know the answer. You can hear it in their tone, right? And that rushed speech creates pressure. Monotone creates disconnection. So elite communication, what does it sound like? It sounds calm. It sounds intentional, grounded, emotionally controlled, right? And that's why oftentimes when you're listening to these great salespeople, they tend to speak slower, right? You want to train like a lion and sell like a lamb, right? That's where that saying comes from. So remember, slow communicates certainty. The slower I speak, the more certainty I convey, right? Section 4. This one's huge. The power of emotional labeling. One of the most powerful psychological techniques on earth is labeling emotions. Humans feel connected when they feel emotionally recognized, all right? Here's an example. The prospect says to you, hey, I'm just tired of struggling financially. And a weak salesperson, yes, if you're an accountant, CPA, you're a salesperson. Get over yourself, right? Hey, yeah, my services can help with that, right? Hey, elite salesperson, sounds like you're frustrated because you know you're capable of more, but you haven't found the right opportunity yet, right? Or if you're selling a program, you could say the exact same concept, right? Well, what happened right there is you identified emotion. You expanded an emotional understanding. You articulated internal pain. And now the prospect feels, hey, this person gets me. And that creates trust rapidly. The deeper the emotional understanding, the deeper the rapport. Okay, section 5, write this down. People buy for identity, not products. All right, so what does that actually even mean? Okay, this is one of the biggest sales secrets in the world, is that people do not buy products, guys. This is really like the most important thing. Like, if you understand what I'm getting ready to go over, you're going to make a ton of money, okay? People buy identity, status, freedom, security, certainty, transformation, and self-image, right? So for example, if someone buying bookkeeping training, they're not buying bookkeeping, they're buying independence, confidence, financial control, freedom from employment, being respected, becoming valuable, right? It's the amateurs that are talking about the features. It's the elite closers that talk about identity transformation, all right? Here's another example. If you're selling bookkeeping program, accounting program, tax programs, this course includes bookkeeping modules. That's pretty weak, right? Compared to this. This gives you a skill set that businesses will pay you for the rest of your life. Well, that hits identity, okay? That hits identity. Listen, people act in the identity that they believe is theirs. So if you can identity frame people, get really good at that, you seem like the type of guy, just getting to know you here on the phone today, you seem like the type of guy that would want all of his books put together the right way. Have no leaking holes. You don't seem like a guy who has leaky holes in his business. Am I right? There you go. All right, section 6, write this down. The most important rapport skill, okay? Listening for emotional triggers. I talk about this all the time. You got 2 ears, right? One ear is to listen, to make the person feel heard and understood. The other ear is so you can download information, so you can beat them in negotiation. All right, so elite communicators listen to understand emotional drivers. You have to listen for that frustration, the shame, ambition, exhaustion, pride, fear, regret, hope, insecurity. All of those things matter, right? Here's an example for you. I'm just tired of working for other people, right? Well, that's not just a statement right there. There's pain in there. There's identity conflict, desire for control, desire for freedom. Elite salespeople hear emotional meaning underneath words. And that's advanced emotional intelligence right there. All right? You have to be able to identify the words that they're saying, emotional cues that you can then say, okay, I need that for this. I need that for that. I need that for this, right? Here's the next thing. Silence creates depth. Silence creates depth. So weak salespeople are afraid of silence. I hear it all the time, actually. I was just training a guy today, and he's not a weak salesperson. He's actually really good. But I was listening to today, and the silence, I can tell, kills him. We have this thing called whisper mode, and I can come in his ear, and I say, hey, say this, hey, say this, hey, say that. When I ask him these questions, the prospect really gets him thinking. Well, that silence creates awkwardness. So silence is actually huge, okay? So you need to understand it. So here's an example for you. This is one of the questions he asked them, actually. What happens if nothing changes over the next 3 years? Well, you got to stop talking and let them respond to these kinds of things, because that silence is going to create introspection, emotional honesty, tension, and seriousness, okay? And the brain, what happens is the brain begins searching internally, and that's where the truth appears. Most salespeople ruin those moments because they panic and keep talking. But understand that silence is emotional pressure. They have to sell themselves ultimately, so you have to use it correctly. Section 8. Write this down. Using their language, right? Well, people trust themselves. I'll say it again. People trust themselves. So instead of you selling them, if you ask good questions, they'll sell themselves. So using their language. Here's another thing. Using their language. So when prospects are emotionally loaded, when prospects are using emotionally loaded words against you, what I need you to do is store them mentally. Start writing them down. If they say things like, I want more time with my family, or I want to be a boss, well, that's freedom, stability, family, burnout, stress, purpose, control. Use those exact words later. So I'm taking what I'm finding in rapport, and then when I get down in the negotiation, I'm actually able to use that against them. Well, boom, you said this. So like, for example here. So if we can help you build more stability while creating freedom for your family. There you go. Now that message feels personalized because it's attached to their internal emotional map. Elite communication always sounds personal, right? The next section, write this down. Section 9, that rapport is not submission. And what do I mean by that? Well, this is huge. This is critical. A lot of salespeople become weak trying to build rapport. And what do I mean by that? They seek approval, become overly agreeable. You lose leadership, direction, you fear tension, and that destroys respect. All right? Elite rapport still maintains leadership, direction, emotional control, confidence. You can still be warm, understanding, and empathetic without being a pushover. All right? The best communicators combine that empathy with authority, and that combo right there, man, that becomes dangerous. So section 10, the psychology of certainty. Write that down, the psychology of certainty. So human beings, they crave certainty, especially when making these kind of decisions, whether it's using your services or buying a program, whatever the case may be. But if you sound certain, their uncertainty grows. Okay, so if I'm uncertain, guess what? They're uncertain. If you sound calm and certain, their fear will lower. That's why when you hear conviction, that matters so much. So things you don't want to say, I think this could help. Right? I've seen people in your exact position completely transform their lives through this process. So that sounds so much better. Well, I think this could help you, or what do you think? Compared to, I've seen people in your exact position completely transform their lives through this process, right? Humans borrow certainty before they develop their own. So if you've been doing it for a long time and you need to transfer that emotion with your tonality and the things you're asking and the things you're saying, they can't be there can be no hesitation. So humans borrow certainty before they develop their own. That's huge. You need to write that down. Your certainty, right, becomes emotional permission for action, right? So because you're so convicted, they end up actually going through with it, which is pretty nuts. The next thing, one of my favorite things to do is future pacing, okay? And I would say elite. This is an elite rapport move, okay? You can put people into the future. Let me show you how to do it. Imagine 12 months from now having your own bookkeeping clients, your own income and control. Finally, control over your own schedule. Talk to me. What would that be like for you? Boom. All right, now their brain starts emotionally experiencing the future. Emotionally experienced future becomes psychologically desirable. All right? So, emotionally experienced futures become psychologically desirable. Now that's influence, all right? Section 12, the biggest secret of all. The greatest communicators are genuinely curious. Super curious about people, right? That's why faking rapport always fails. People can feel it subconsciously. Where's real rapport come from? Deeply, actually wanting to understand the other human being. Right? And that changes your energy, your tone, your pacing, your listening, your presence. And ironically, those are the things that create massive influence. So listen, if you master rapport, sales becomes easier, objections lower, trust rises, influence rises, leadership rises, And communication changes forever. Because sales is not manipulation. Elite sales is emotional leadership. So if you want deeper videos on psychology, advisory, tax, business growth, tonality, closing, make sure you subscribe to the channel because we are teaching sales and business at a level this industry has never seen before. And remember, people do not buy when they're pressured. They buy when they feel understood. Make sure you check us out at Universal Accounting Center as well. We've got wonderful certifications that you can add, or if you're looking to build a new business.